In this video, we will talk about data types in Python. A data type represents specific sets of values and operations that can be performed on those values. The data types that are predefined in Python are built-in data types. So what this means is that when we talk about data types, it simply refers to the possible set of values that we can assign to a variable in the Python programming language. Now, Python has some predefined or built-in data types which we will talk about. And in other words, you can create your own data type in the Python programming language. So the first data type we'll look at is the int data type. So I'll just put a comment here and say integer or the int data type. So the int data type represents whole numbers without a fractional part. So I can define a variable called score and assign it to what? 100. And then I'll print this and say I'll print score. And when I go ahead and run my Python file, we get the value 100 printed in the terminal. So this score variable serves as a pointer or a reference to this value 100, which is what? An integer data type. In order to get the type of a variable or the data type of a variable, we use the type function. So I can come here and declare another variable called, let's say data, or let me say int data underscore type, and assign it to type. So the type function from Python, and then I'll pass the score variable to it. And when I go ahead and run my code, we get, I'm not printing it out, that's why I'm not getting anything. So I'll just go ahead and print this out quickly. Then we get what? Class int. So this class int is just an object. So in Python, a class is an object in Python. And these data types are objects that are defined in the Python programming language. So whenever we declare a variable and then we assign a value to it, that value is stored in the object in which you have defined it. So in this example, this 100 value is stored in the integer data type. So this is what? The int data type. So it's stored in the int data type. So anytime we reference this value, we are referencing the object int, which is in which this value has been stored. This 100 value has been stored. So in Python, whenever we declare a variable or an object, it has what? Three properties. It has a type, it has a value, and then it has an ID. So in order not to shorten this, or in the shortcut of printing the data type, or yes, the data type of this, I can say print, and then I'll say type using the print function, and then passing the value of the type function, because the type function returns a value. So I'll just put score here, and then when I go ahead and run my code, we get the type of what? The value stored here. Or I can go ahead and pass a whole number, or let me change this to maybe 200, and when I go ahead and run my code, we get the same integer value. So the integer or the int data type represents whole numbers without a fractional part. The next data type we'll talk about is the float data type. So I'll come here and put my comment here and say float data type, which is also an object defined or a pre-built data type defined in Python. The float data type represents real numbers with a fractional part. So I can define a variable called, let's say, temperature, and assign it a value of, let's say, 36.7 degrees. So this 36.7 is what? A float data type. In order to know, to ascertain this, I'll just say print, then using the type function, I'll pass in the variable name, which is what? Temperature. When I clear my terminal and run my Python file, we get what? Class float, which shows that what? The data type of this temperature variable is what? The float object, or the float data type. The next data type we'll talk about is the complex data type, which represents numbers with a real and an imaginary part. So this is used in advanced mathematical computations. So I'll just go ahead and write complex data type here. Let me close my terminal and comment out this one. So I'll just define a complex So I'll just say complex num. So complex num, and then I'll assign it to 1 plus 2j. So this is what let me write the complex properly. Good. So this is a complex data type I've defined. So in order to verify this, I can use the type function and then pass the variable name to it, which is what? Complex number or complex num. And when I run my code, we get what? Complex. So this is the complex data type. The next data type we'll look at is the string data type. The string data type represents text and is enclosed in single, double, or triple quotes. It is used for storing and manipulating text. So we'll look at the string data type, which is what? The str. So we define the string data type like this. So I'll just define a variable, say greeting equals hello Python, and save. So let me put my quotes here. So the string data type is normally defined in either single quotes or double quotes or even triple quotes. So this is what the string data type. When I go ahead and then print the type of this variable and go to my terminal, clear it and run, we get the str, which represents what? The string object or the string data type. So we learned that the string data type can either be double quotes or single quotes. So I can define another variable, let's say username, and set it to a single quote of, let's say, team here. And then because the reason why this changes to double quotes is that that's my preference. I always like my string data types or my strings in Python to be of double quotes, but you can use single quotes. So in order to prevent this, I can go ahead and then use the print, and then using the type function, I can pass a single quote here. Let's say I'll just put the name Bob here, and when I run my code, you see that we get str. So like I said earlier, I have configured my raf extension, the extension I use for formatting my Python file, which is raf, that it should always change my single quotes to what? Double quotes. So that's why you see it being auto corrected to what? Double quotes. So we can put data types or string data type, we can delimit them with triple quotes as well, whether single triple quotes or double triple quotes. So I can put another quote here and say team here, and delimit it or close it with what? Triple quotes. So you can see that. So we can use triple quotes for string as well. When I comment this one out and then comment this one to out and clear my terminal and run my file, you see that we get string, and we can use what? Single quotes as well. So I'll say print type, and then yeah, I'll just put single quotes here, which is 1, 2, 3, and I'll put maybe Alice here, then another 1, 2, 3 single quotes. When I go ahead and run it, you see that my VS Code changes to what? Double quotes. But you can use you can use single triple quotes as well in your your distance, your string, to delimit your string. But most of the times you end up using double quotes or single quotes. Now when you have a string that has a single quote in it, then you should use a double quote to delimit it. So right now I can put, let's say I can declare a variable, let's say user, let me say user message variable, and say do not or don't disturb. So as you can see, since I'm using a quote in the string, I have to delimit it with what? Double quote. When I go ahead and use single quotes here, you see that it will result in what? An error, and Python will be complaining that syntax error. It doesn't know what you are doing, because according to Python, our string has ended over here, which is what? Done. So you should take note of that. And likewise, if your string contains a double quote, you should delimit it with a single quote. So I can, let's say, when I try putting let's say a double quote something here, which is double quote, and then try maybe writing something else, you see that Python will not complain. But immediately I go ahead and then start it and then end it with double quote, then Python will be complaining, because according to Python, or as far as Python is concerned, our string has ended here, so it doesn't know what I'm putting after it. So that's it about the string data type. The next data type we'll look at is the list data type. The list data type, or when we talk about the list data type, it refers to or represents an ordered mutable collection of items which can be of different types. It is used for storing sequence of items. So I'll go ahead and put the list data type here, and then I'll just define a list. Now, when you want to define a list in Python, we use square brackets. So we'll be talking about list on its own in a separate video. So we can define a list called apple, a list of fruits, then maybe banana. Let me write that properly, and then save. No, now what I've done is what? A list. So I can print the type here. So I can go ahead and say print type, and then I'll pass in the variable name, which is what? Fruits. And when I go to my terminal and run my file, we get what? List object, or the list type over there. The next data type we'll talk about is the tuple data type, which represents an ordered immutable collection of items used for grouping related items that shouldn't be changed. So just like the list data type, the tuple data type is also an object which enhances a collection of items which is immutable or cannot be changed. So unlike the list items or the list data type that the items or the elements can be changed, that of a tuple cannot be changed. So I'll just comment this and say tuple data type and define an example for you. So I'll just say coordinates and assign it. So the tuple data type, we use what? Parentheses, and then we put our values over there. So I'll just say 10.0, and then with comma I can put 30.0, and then with comma I can put maybe 50.8 there and save. So by so doing, this is what? Our tuple data type. So like I said, we'll be talking more on this in separate videos. So I can go ahead and print this and say type, and then pass my coordinates. First of all, let me comment this one out so that, and then clear my console. So you see that we get tuple over here, or the tuple data type or tuple object. The next data type we'll look at is the dictionary data type, or the dict data type. So I'll go ahead and say dictionary here, and then I'll put the type here. So when we talk about the dictionary data type, it represents a collection of key value pairs where keys are unique, used for fast lookups and flexible data storage. So I can define a dictionary quickly, and the dictionary data type, we use we use curly brackets, not square bracket. We use curly brackets. So I'll say name, I'll assign it to, let's say, Tom, and then I'll put comma, and then I'll put age here, and I'll assign it to, let's say, 40, and save. So this is how we define or we declare a data type, or the dictionary data type, which is what? A collection of key value pairs. So we'll be talking more on this. So I'll go ahead and then print it. So I'll just say print type, then I'll pass student here, which is the variable name. And when I run my code, you see that we get class dict here. So like I said, a class is an object in JavaScript, and all these data types are objects in the Python programming language. So the next data type we'll talk about is the set data type. So I'll go ahead and then put my comments here and write set data type, which is a type of set. So when we talk about the set data type, it is an unordered collection of unique items used for membership testing and eliminating duplicate entries. So I can say unique numbers, or unique nums, and then with curly bracket we just put in our values. So I'll just put my values over here. So the set data type is a collection of what? Unique items. So when I go ahead and then print type of unique nums and then run my code, you see that we get what? Class set. The next data type we'll look at is the Frozensets data type. The Frozensets data type represents an immutable version of a set. So it is used for creating sets that cannot be changed after creation. So I'll just go ahead and then copy this one down, and then comment this one out, and then comment this one out. So the Frozenset data type, so I'll just go ahead and then write Frozenset, and then pass in some values, so which is a list of numbers. When I go ahead and then run my code, you see that we get Frozenset data type. So that's it about the Frozenset data type. The next data type we'll talk about is the non-type data type, which represents what? No value. So I'll just go ahead and write non-type, which the data type is what? None or none. So the non-type data type represents the absence of a value or a null value. It is used to signify that a variable has no value. So I can go ahead and say class score and assign it to what? None. And then when I clear my terminal, first of all, let me print the type out for you to see. Let me comment this one out first. I'll just say type and then put the class score there. When I go to my terminal and run my file, you see that we get none type. So the none type represents the absence of a value. So it means that this class score variable has no value. So these are the most common data types that you might come across in Python. There are other data types like the bytes and then the Bytesarray data types that you can also come across in Python. Now, one thing you should note is that everything in Python is an object. Any of the types we have looked at earlier is an object. Functions, classes, and modules are also objects in Python, and we'll talk about all these things in later videos. So when we talk about an object is a chunk or a space or a location or a storage in the computer's memory used to store data. Every object in Python has a type, a value, and an ID. So just like all the data types, so when I go ahead and then copy my string data type, where is my string? So I'll just go ahead and then declare another string data type, for instance. So I'll just say username, or let me say message from Python. It's a very long name, so I'll just say hello from Python. So it's a very long name. So now we said that what? All the data types or all the objects in Python have what? A type, a value, and an ID. So I can print the type of this variable, which is what? Message from Python. And then let's see, let me clear my terminal. When I run this, it's a type of a string. I can go ahead and then print the ID, which by using the ID function from Python, and then I'll pass in the variable name. When I go ahead and run the code, you see what? The ID printed. So this is the pointer. Okay, this is the ID of this variable or this value in the computer's memory. So whenever we access this variable refers to this ID and then gives us the value hello from Python. And then we can access the value, which we've been doing for some time now, by just printing the message to the terminal, which is hello from Python. So the object over here is the what? The string object or the str object. So that's the data type. So every variable or every object in Python has a type, a value, and an ID. The value of an object is the data that it contains, and the type of an object determines what kind of operation can be performed on the value. The ID of an object is an integer that is unique and points to an object in memory. Each object has different IDs which will never change during its lifetime or as far as it is still being referenced to by a variable. So that's all for this video. In the next video, we'll look at operators in JavaScript. Please subscribe and like for more videos and content like this. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.